need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
So Ranae is writing from Atlanta, and she says, "Hi, Betsy. How might a regular person on a budget approach a kitchen remodel? My cabinets have reached the don't pull the drawer out or I'll fall on your foot stage. My sister doesn't love her double wall ovens, and now they've both quit working. We are rethinking out of necessity, not a grand wish for a dream designer kitchen. Both of us have DIY handy husbands. Does your firm help with layout? We can't reach the sink if the dishwasher is open and the fridge and the oven doors hit each other. What order do you choose floors, cabinets, counters, and tables? How do we make sure it doesn't look outdated in 5 years? Do you have go-to finishes, white or gray?" All right, so here is some advice based on your very good questions. And Renee, you know I always love getting your questions. First thing is you should go to a kitchen designer or kitchen planner. And you're saying, "Betsy, we're on a budget, we're DIY, we don't have enough funds for something like that." And the answer is you do. So even IKEA has kitchen planners and designers. You could do IKEA, you could do Home Depot, and they have different levels where you can install it yourself or you can pay for their installers. But oftentimes those measuring services and planning services are absolutely free, or they deduct the cost of the measuring service from the cost of the cabinets when you decide to move forward. Now, the reason that I recommend that versus having somebody at my firm plan it out is because all these different cabinet lines are different. The offerings that they have, from corner cabinets to the different accessories and pullouts and dimensions, they're quite specific to that company. So that company has software based on what they offer. If you're to go to just an interior designer, they're going to give you a generic plan. And then maybe the items that you actually find at the kitchen cabinet place you choose won't work. So in order to get a plan that you know you can move forward with, it's best to just start at a store that you know you can afford. Say you were going with IKEA. Well, you'd have them map it out for you, and then they can give you different scenarios and different price points based on different cabinet finishes, right? So when I'm designing a kitchen, what I would do is first I would start with some inspiration photos, no matter what my budget was, of kitchens that I was really excited about, that I liked, that I could see having some similarities to either my kitchen's layout or to sort of a path that I could afford in terms of the finishes, right? So once I created that Pinterest board of looks that I like, I would go to one of those vendors I mentioned, whether it's, Lowe's, Home Depot, or IKEA. And I would work with one of their designers there and show them what I'm thinking and have them come do custom measurements and a layout for me. Then I would decide to move forward. And what you'd want to do is start with the cabinet bases first and then the doors. So cabinet bases and doors, because it's going to be quite a limited selection depending on where you're going. Certainly if you're at that IKEA price point, it's going to be quite limited. Then what I would do next is I would choose the countertops. Now you can oftentimes get the countertops at the cabinet company that's making the kitchen cabinets. But in the case that you want something more upscale or that you just want something different, there are some like stone source places. I like to go and actually look at my slab. Depending on how large your kitchen is, you can go to these like overstock type places that have excess from builders, and you can get great deals on pieces there. But anyway, then you would go for the countertop. What I would choose next is the flooring. So deciding what type of tile works well, pulls out any veining from the countertop, coordinates well with the cabinets. So I would do the flooring next. Oh, excuse me. Little sneeze. And then I would go for that backsplash. So that's kind of the order in which I would do things. In terms of avoiding a dated look, it's hard to know what's going to be dated in the future. But certainly one thing that's completely out right now are white on white on white kitchens. And I don't want to say I told you so, but guys, I told you so. I hated those from the start. Also, I think gray cabinets are sort of done having a moment. I think gray in general is somewhat done having a moment. And looking at the pictures you've sent of your home, I think either a gray beige or a beige works better anyway for things like flooring, the countertops, etc. And then you do a fun backsplash. Now, your kitchen is open to a dining area and potentially like a small seating area. And so I would choose a backsplash that pulls a color from those areas to kind of bring something bright and lively, tie the two spaces together, and just add some personality to the kitchen. So all of that can be done on a very low budget, just depending on which initial vendor you go with, because of course the cabinets and the countertops are going to be your biggest expense. Let me see what else I could say. I think in a small galley kitchen like this, I would avoid doing two-tone cabinets, meaning one color on the bottom and one color on the top. I think that works much better in larger kitchens where it would look almost overwhelming to have the tops and bottoms be the same color. What else am I thinking? I think that's all in terms of trends that I think you should avoid. I think, you can always, once you've created a schematic with your tile, with your countertops, with your cabinets, write in again, Ranae. Don't be bashful. I know you're not. So you can write in again with, say, your mood board or your Pinterest board and let me see what you've selected, and I can weigh in before you install it. Just make sure that you do that before mid-September when I leave for my maternity leave. Very exciting. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.